In this lesson, we're gonna talk about padding and margin. First, let's start with margin. If you want to create a space outside the border or outside the element, you can use the margin. For example, we want to add space here. This, the view 1, we can make margin bottom of 10 pixels and press save. Now we get here a margin bottom to this view. We can increase it to make it, for example, 50. Now we have here a 50 pixels of margin bottom to this view. Okay, we can delete it. We have also margin top. For example, let's add a margin top to this view. This black view, margin top of 50 and press save. Now you can see this black view has a margin top of 50. We add a spaces of 50 pixels. We also have margin left. Let's make it 100. Now we have here a margin left of 100 pixels to this black view. So we have here 50 pixels at the top and 100 pixels in the left. You can also add margin right. We also have margin horizontal and margin vertical. Let's remove those margins and add a new view to understand horizontal, to understand the vertical. Let's add a third view and let's give it style of styles dot view 3. Okay, and let's initialize it down here. View 3. Let's copy this and put it here, and let's make the color of it red, for example, and let's press save. Now what if we want to add a margin vertical to this black view? Margin vertical allow us to add spaces at the top and at the bottom. Let me show you. Margin vertical, for example, 40 pixels. Now you can see this view has a 40 pixels at the top and 40 pixels at the bottom. We can also use margin to all different sides. For example, top and right and bottom and left. Just type margin alone. Now this margin take 40 pixels at the top and left and bottom and right. We can make it 100. Look, now this black box has a margin 100 here and 100 here and 100 here and 100 here. Okay. I want to mention something. If you specify a specific side, it will override this margin. For example, if we just add margin left of 20, it will be only 20. So 100 here, 100 here, 100 here, and 20 here. Even if this at the top here, it will still 20, because this margin left or right or top or bottom override only margin. Okay, now that was the margin. Now let's learn about padding. When we go back to our code, let's create another view inside this view. For example, let's create a view. Let's give it style of styles.view, or let's make it child view, and let's add the style to it. Child view. The height and width, let's make them only 50 in height and 50 in width. And background color, let's make it red. Now we got here a 50 pixels dimensions view. Now let's describe what does padding do. The margin, as I have said, making spaces outside of the view, but the padding makes spaces inside the view itself. For example, we have here this black view called view 2. Let's add padding top and see what happens. For example, let's make it 30. Look what happens. This view added a space inside of it, not outside of it. So the padding adds spaces inside, the margin adds spaces outside. Let's add another padding. For example, let's add padding left and make it 60. Look what happens. we have here 60 pixels of padding. This black view added a space inside of it, not outside of it. So margin left, add the space outside of 20, because this is a margin, so it add the space outside. But here we add padding left, added the spaces inside. So this 60 inside of the view. Let's add a padding in general. Padding, and let's make it, for example, 40 pixels. Now padding in general, add a padding inside the view of 40 pixels here and here and here and here. 40 here, 40 here, 40 here, 40 here. So that was the key difference between margin and padding. Padding add the spaces inside, margin add the spaces outside.